All right. Well, as you heard, my name is Rachel Carlisle and been in business since 2006, but I started writing the cookbook in 2005 after Lexi's diagnosis with celiac disease. And the reason why I started doing it is because I was making recipes and they kind of tasted gritty and kind of rice-like, and they fell apart and they were bland, or they were cardboardy and hard as a rock. And she was only 18 months at the time and she didn't care. But for me, I was like, I can't really expect her to eat it if I wouldn't eat it. And later on we found out that I needed to be on a gluten-free diet too. And so I just started creating recipes and then just kind of decided to do a flour blend because I didn't like having 6, 7 different flours in the cupboard and measuring them out, and then starting a recipe and having 4 of the 6 flours but not having one of them, and then not knowing what to do. And so I created the Mama's Almond Blend Flour, which is right here. And it's a mixture of 5 different flours. And I also have the Mama's Coconut Blend Flour, and they're both all-purpose flours. And basically, the reason why I have 5 different flours is because with gluten-free, if you only have 1 or 2, it's going to be bland. It's going to be hard as a rock. And these work together to give you a moist, light product for gluten-free. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And the cookbook finished and the flour started getting off the ground. We started off in a little garage out back that I ran preschool in, and then now last July we moved into a bigger shop that was twice the size, and now they just doubled that, and we move in next week to the newer section. So it's been really fun and really exciting. I never ever would have imagined that be doing this, but I'm having the time of my life. And so my goal is to help anybody who needs help. And so if you guys ever have any questions, I would like you to, go on Facebook and ask me a question under the Gluten Free Mama page, or shoot me an email. If you got the brochures, my emails are on there. And I'll be happy to assist you with any questions that you have, because my goal is to make your life easier. So that's what I'm here. So today we're gonna, we're gonna make a few things. Michael asked me to do some spring and summer type recipes, and so hopefully these will be recipes that you can take home and use, and try to get as many tips in there as I can. If you hear me say gluten-free, catch me on it and you get a prize. And also we have some different giveaways that we're going to do, and at the end we're going to do some hands-on stuff. So it's going to be exciting, I hope. And the best classes that I have are the ones where people interact with me, so please ask me questions, because I don't want to be the only one up here talking. So ask me questions so I can answer them, because I want you to go home with as much knowledge as you can. Does that sound great? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to make hot dog and hamburger buns. And basically, with hot dog and hamburger buns, you can do any bread recipe that you like. And then I'm going to show you a technique. We're going to use just a basic, like a French bread or a white bread recipe for these. And so we start off, we're going to need our flour. And we're going to do this one in a mixer. We could also do this in a bread machine, and so I'll explain to you the bread machine tips in a few minutes. So we're going to measure out flour. Now when you're measuring out gluten-free flour, you don't want to pack it. Oh! Okay. So you got me right off the bat. Okay, so you just scoop it in, and usually I pour mine into a bowl and then scrape it off, and you just want to tap the edges, and I'm going to make a mess, but that's okay, because my motto is every good cook is a messy cook. Okay? All right. And then just scrape right across the top. And we're going to need 3 cups of that. And you could use, with any of my recipes, you can use the almond blend or the coconut blend flour.
Is there a difference in taste?
The coconut blend's a little bit tangier, so it's really good in like sweeter type products, but I have customers that like the coconut blend better than almond blend. I use the almond blend for more of my savory things. So. And I already got the yeast proofing, and I need to mix it up a little bit.
What's in the almond blend?
It's rice flour, sweet rice flour, tapioca, potato, and almond flour. So it's a mixture of all of them. We're just going to add a little bit of sugar. Sugar kind of helps the yeast activate a little bit. Get that going. All right, and then we're at a teaspoon and a half of xanthan gum. And the xanthan gum is used to hold the product together, and you guys probably already know that. A lot of the gluten-free recipes, I think I saw her hand go up first. You guys want to, you'll be in charge of that, okay, Sarah? This is Apisara. We call her Sarah. She's from Thailand, and so she's here till the end of June with us. So she'll be a helper for us today. A lot of the recipes out there will use like a tablespoon. I've seen them up to 2 tablespoons of xanthan gum, and it's just too much. So I use a lot less because then it's not going to be a hard, dense product. It makes it a little bit lighter. So don't be afraid to use less. And then we're going to use 3 tablespoons of sugar. Because it's a white bread, it's nice to add a little bit of sugar, but if you don't want sugar in your recipe, just leave it out. It's not going to affect it very much. And then a teaspoon of salt. And then we're just going to turn on my KitchenAid mixer. This is the best mixer for gluten-free baking. That's you. You got it. So if you don't have a heavy-duty mixer and you want to do a lot of baking, I recommend going out and getting one. The KitchenAid is the best, in my opinion. You'll buy it. It'll last. This one is going to be 20 years old this June, and it's still running. So it can handle because the breads especially, they're really thick, and so it can handle the mixing, and the motor's not going to die. If you're using a hand mixer, it's going to last 2 or 3 times, and then it's going to be dead. So it's worth the investment. And Costco has them right now on sale. So we're going to just mix that up, and then we're going to go ahead and add our yeast. And then we're going to add 2 eggs. Now in regular breads, usually you don't find eggs, but the eggs in these breads give it the moisture factor. We want to have moisture. We don't want to have cardboard. And then we're going to add a couple tablespoons or a 1/4 cup of olive oil. You could use butter. You could use canola oil. You could use non-dairy butter. I don't know how many I just added. Okay, now we're going to turn it on high speed, so you're not going to be able to hear me talk very well, but we want to get as much air into the product as possible. So we're going to do that for 1 minute. Anybody have any questions at this point on where we're at? Okay. All right. So for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and stop it here. All right, so when you see it, it's going to be liquidy. Well, not liquidy, like a thick cake batter. So you should be able to run your rubber scraper through it easily. If you can't run your rubber scraper through it, add a little bit more liquid of your choice, like milk or water. That out. There you go. You can go clean it up. Gracie, you can get over here and you'll be next in line. My girls are going to work for me today, and then we're going to take them to the water slides later. All right, so we'll do the hot dog buns first. I'm going to get this out of the way so you guys can see. Now, this is my own little trick because we don't have hot dog bun pans. And so you can get these at the dollar store or Target or something like that. And we're going to lightly spray it. It's exactly the size you need for a regular hot dog. If you wanted to use like a Polish dog, they're a little bit longer, you can use an 8x8 cake pan. Okay? We're just going to lightly spray it with cooking spray. If you don't like to use cooking spray, just make sure it's nice and oiled up with butter or oil. And then we just get a basic pastry bag, and you can get these disposable at like Michael's or any place that sells cake decorating supplies. And we're going to fold it over so we have less mess. And we're just going to fill the bag. Now, if you wanted to make bread at this point, you could put it into any kind of bread pan. If you did a loaf pan, you'd want to bake it for an hour. If you did mini loaf pans, you'd bake it for 35 to 40 minutes. And there's directions in the cookbook on how to do all the different pans and how long to do it for. And this is, I'm doing the exact same recipe that's in here, except for I use water instead of milk. So it's going to be more of a French bread taste versus a white bread taste. Okay, so then we're going to cut it off. And depending on where you cut it off is going to depend on how fat your hamburger or hot dog bun is. We're going to cut it off so there's about a 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch hole. And we're just going to twist our bag so we don't get it all over us. And just, we're going to skirt it from one end to the other. And then do it again. And if they came out a little bit thin, you can just kind of add a little bit more at the ends. And then just use excess flour. Get your fingers and you can just tap down the ends so you don't have the edges, the pointy edges that'll be crusty. You don't want that. And so, you see that? So they'll rise, they'll like double in size and they'll rise, and then when you get, you'll baste it with, you want to cover all your breads with dry towels. So, because we don't want the extra moisture to inhibit rising. So with gluten-free baking, cover with a dry towel.
Yeah.
Ah! She's a good surprise. Okay.
Why do you not want to say gluten-free?
Huh?
Why do you not want to say gluten-free?
Oh, it's just for fun. Just a fun thing I do. So anyway, so you cover it with a dry towel, and right before you put it into the oven, you want to baste it with an egg white. It's not, you don't have to, but if you baste it with an egg white, it's going to give it a little bit of shine. If you don't, is there anybody here who's egg-free as well? You're egg-free as well. What you could do, and because we added 2 eggs to this, you could, for every egg, you take a tablespoon of flaxseed and a 1/4 cup of water, and you simmer it on the stove for about 5 minutes till it thickens and gels. And so for 2 eggs, you'd use 2 tablespoons and a 1/2 cup of water, and then you'd pour it, use it just like you would the eggs, but don't baste it.
So that would be ground flaxseed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it works great. So anyway, so we got that, and then when we're done, they look like this. And what we'll do is we'll get the girls to work and we'll pass out samples. So what I would do for these, when I serve them, I would just break them apart like you would like a pull-apart bread and slice it. Just slice it down the soft part of the bread. And then put your hot dog right in there. So, yeah. So we'll let the kids, which one, Cassie, you want to serve these? Yep. Just cut them into, let's see, figure out how many you have to cut and cut them into small pieces and then just pass the plate around, okay? All right, so we got the hot dog buns. Now I'm going to show you how to do hamburger buns and sandwich rolls. So when you use the loaf pan, has anybody found that their sandwiches kind of, the bread doesn't rise really high and their sandwiches are kind of small? Well, it's because you know what I'm going to say, these kinds of breads, they can't handle the rise. And so, as well. So I use smaller pans. I use these 4-inch cake pans. These are by Wilton, and they make the perfect, they kind of rise a little bit like this. They make a perfect hamburger bun or a perfect size sandwich. And so you use a 1/2 cup of batter, which I'm not going to measure it out perfectly, but I'm going to kind of show you. And just take your rubber scraper and smooth it out, and then you let it rise. So this is how I make mine, and the batter will make 6 to 7 sandwiches or hamburger buns. And then you let it rise. So that's what we have there. Do we have any questions about breads?
Do these freeze pretty well?
Yeah, you can freeze them. I would double wrap them though,
Okay,
so that they don't get hard.
okay.
Yeah, and then, you know, you can warm them up in a 200-degree oven so they rejuvenate the softness, okay? Or in a microwave. All right, so we got that. We did the egg-free. Okay, so gluten-free. Gluten-free. All right, yeah. Okay, so bread machines is what I meant to say. You can do any of the gluten-free mama breads in the bread machine. You have your, I said it again, you're gonna have to get another one. This is a Cuisinart, and it has, I have to say it, it has a gluten-free cycle on it. You have to have that or the breads aren't gonna work, because you don't want a double rise, you want a single rise. I got this one at Costco. It's worked perfectly for me. I had a cheaper brand, I think I had a Breadman once, and it died after 3 loaves, and so this was the same price, so I recommend getting a good one. So the Cuisinart works great. So what you would do is you're going to do it a little bit backwards. In your mixer, if you're doing the mixer portion, you go ahead and you put the flour and the salt and the xanthan gum and sugar, whatever dry ingredients you have, you mix it up, and then you pour your yeast mixture in, and then whatever liquid ingredients you have. In a bread machine, you're going to start not the warm water or the warm milk that you would use to proof the yeast with, but you're going to start with all the other liquid ingredients, whether it's yogurt, whether it's eggs, oil, butter, melted butter, the cider vinegar, whatever it is. You put those ingredients in first, then you add your dry ingredients, and then you make a well in the center. You pour your yeast in. Go ahead and pass it around. And these were made yesterday, so they should still be fairly soft. So.
Do they have eggs in them?
They do. I'm so sorry. Maybe I'll come back one day and do just egg-free, dairy-free class for those like that. So bake a well in the center, put your yeast in, and then pour your warm water over it. Let it rest for a minute. Pop it into your bread machine, put it on the right cycle, and let it cook. And then after it beeps when it's done, well, actually, after it'll beep when it's done with the mixing cycle. Just check it if you have time, and if it needs to be smoothed out, just take your rubber scraper and smooth out the top. Most of the recipes you won't need to do that, but sometimes if it's a thicker dough, you might want to smooth out the top just for a better presentation. And then leave it in the oven for about 10 minutes after it's done baking, and then take it out of the pan, and 30 minutes later you have fresh bread. And this is what I usually do, because I'm working now outside the home, because I was out in my backyard, but now I'm outside the home, and so I'll throw a loaf in before I go to work, and then you have fresh bread, and it's easy. Anybody can do it. So, all right, so the next page is a whole bunch of different tips on baking breads. So we talked about the good stand mixer, we talked about the baking pans. We talked, okay, proofing the yeast If you put the yeast in and you put the sugar in or the honey in and nothing happens, if you stir it, nothing happens, it doesn't foam, your yeast is not good. Throw it out and get fresh yeast. With water, depending on where you live, some water is a hard water or too soft. That can inhibit rising. So if you have a well water that's really hard, or if you live in the city that has too much chlorine in the water, use distilled water and that will help it rise better. Or bottled water. Let's see. With milk, buttermilk, applesauce, yogurt, and cheeses, it's best to let them be room temperature. If it's too cold, anything that's too cold is going to inhibit rising. So just let it sit on your counter for about 30 minutes, and then it'll be room temperature. Measure ingredients accurately. That's the thing with baking. You have to measure accurately. It's not like putting together stir fry where you can just throw a little bit of this and throw a little bit of that. 1 tablespoon of extra liquid or couple extra tablespoons of flour, it will make a difference. And then you want to cover your breads with a dry towel. And let's see, I did the bread machine tips. So any questions on the breads? You guys are quiet. You don't have any questions? Okay.
Have you ever tried it with the applesauce, putting applesauce in?
Yes, a 1/4 cup of applesauce is equal to 1 egg. And then it works just fine.
I have a question. If you want to put, like seeds or something in there so you don't have just like plain white bread, how much is the limit? Like poppy seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds?
Well, like with a loaf of bread, with poppy seeds is like a 1/4 cup. I put flax seeds in a lot, and that would be 2 tablespoons. If you want kind of a brown bread, instead of using sugar, use like 2 tablespoons of molasses, and that'll give it kind of a brown flavor. In the cookbook, there's some really good recipes for flax bread. Let's see. That's with the ground flax. There's the mock rye bread, and so it's my version of a rye bread, but it's not really rye. And so, but it tastes like rye bread. And so it has caraway seeds and it has flax seed and all kinds of yummy stuff. And then like sesame seeds, if you wanted to baste the top with egg or warm water, you could put sesame seeds on top and you have like a sesame loaf. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do. Chia seeds. Have you ever used chia seeds? Yeah. Huh? Oh, yeah, chia seeds are really high in antioxidants and omega-3s, and so if you put a teaspoon in, nobody knows, and you get an extra nutrients.
You know what my husband misses is cinnamon raisin bread, the swirl aspect. I mean, I know you can throw cinnamon in there or whatever, but the looks of it, the look of it,
Yes, I have a cinnamon bread in the first cookbook. What I do is you can't really get the swirl because you're not rolling it. I'll put in my loaf pan, like say this was my pan, I would spread a thin layer and then I'd put butter, cinnamon, raisins, or I might mix the raisins into the dough ahead of time and then just do a layer and then put a little bit of butter and cinnamon, then do another layer, butter and cinnamon, another layer, butter and cinnamon, and when it rises, when you cut it, you're gonna have layers of cinnamon and raisins. Okay, so that's our breads. Now, is anybody hungry? Did you guys all eat before you came, or are you hungry? So, let's hope that you're hungry. Okay. We are going to make Monte Cristo sandwiches. Has anybody had a Monte Cristo sandwich before? Nobody? Oh my goodness. Okay. First time I had Monte Cristo sandwiches was when I lived out in Seattle and I rode that Spirit of Washington dinner train, and I got to ride it in the morning on a brunch, and you didn't get to choose what you had. Everybody just got the same thing, and they served Monte Cristo sandwiches, and I'm telling you, it's like a little piece of heaven. It is so good. So we're gonna turn this on. Now I've never done it on a pancake griddle, but we're gonna try it out. I want to get that nice and hot. Okay, so a Monte Cristo sandwich is, you want to have thick bread, and then you're going to have, traditionally there's ham, turkey, and Swiss cheese, and you dip it in this egg buttery mixture. Sometimes people put a little bit of flour into their mixture to thicken it. I don't. And then you fry it, sprinkle it with a little powdered sugar, serve it with like a 1/4 cup of jam, your favorite jam or whatever, and it is just so good. So it's kind of like French toast, but not on a sandwich. So does that sound good? All right, so what we're gonna do is we take a loaf of bread, and I made this ahead of time in a bread machine, and I cut it in half. And then I cut my slices this way so that they're more like sandwich size. And need so just show you kind of how we assemble it, and I've got them all you want to start getting those out of the unwrapping? Start unwrapping the sandwiches. We're going to cut it 1/2 inch thick. So that's like normal bread size, okay? We're gonna spread a little bit of mayonnaise on it. We're only gonna put enough to just moisten the bread enough to hold the cheese and the turkey and whatnot together. Just start unwrapping them, and you can set them right here, okay? And I'm using the non-hydrogenated mayonnaise. It's like Smart Balance, or something like that. It has omega-3s in it. So if you're gonna have something unhealthy, you might as well try to make it a little healthier, right? And this is just enough to moisten it. And then we add the fun stuff. And it's really, really, really good with the thick Swiss cheese, so when it melts, it just melts all over the place. I just have regular Swiss cheese today. You want to do a layer of Swiss. And a layer of ham. And some Monte Cristo sandwiches, if you go to some restaurants, they'll just do ham on it, and some will do ham and turkey. And I like turkey, so we're doing ham and turkey. And we're gonna add 2 pieces of turkey. And then top it off with another layer of cheese. And then we put the sandwich together like this. And then you prep those ahead of time. And then we're going to make, let's see, how many do we have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that would be 5 sandwiches. Okay, so we're gonna do the regular recipe. We're gonna do 3 eggs. I'm gonna hand me that dish right there for my eggs. And these are organically grown eggs for anybody who needs that. And what does it say for milk? Is it a 1/2 cup?
Yeah.
Most of my recipes are memorized, but not. Sometimes I have to double check. So we're just gonna add a 1/2 cup of milk. And if you can't have dairy, you could use a dairy-free cheese. You could use coconut milk or almond milk or something like that. If you can have dairy, then you're just gonna be in a little piece of heaven because the cheese melting everywhere. And then you wanna add a tablespoon of like a spicy mustard. You could use a Dijon mustard. I'm using, it's kind of a horseradish mustard to give it a little kick. And you just want a tablespoon of that. And then you can salt and pepper to taste. You don't need much. And then just whisk it together. We have egg-free. We have 1 egg-free person. Do we have dairy-free people here? Oh, we have 2. I'm sorry. All right, so we got it all mixed up. And then we want to butter our pan. We'll use the open butter. Oh, nice. so you I'm going to get really dirty, but we're going to dip it in and let it soak for about 10 seconds. And then we're going to flip it. And then let any excess liquid drip. And then put it right on our grill. Gracie, can you go ask the kitchen for a spatula? Thanks. I made these ahead of time to save. Anybody have any questions at this point? Is this something anybody would make at home? Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. This would be great for a brunch or lunch or anything really. Well, if I'm going to all this work, I might as well just finish it up. What do you think? Okay, so while this is cooking, what kind of your biggest challenge with gluten-free baking? Bread. Bread? Okay. So did I answer all your questions with that, or do you have any more questions on how to make it easier?
And maybe not as intimidating is the fact that you have one bag for, instead of buying 5 or 6 different flours and, quarter cup of this, half a cup of that. I think that definitely takes some of the stress away. It's just grabbing one bag and using that for your base, like traditional flour.
And all of my recipes will stay fresh for 3 days on the counter, so you don't have to put them in the fridge. So by the 3rd day, sometimes you might have to microwave it for about 10 seconds just to warm it up.
Now, if you have, let's say, a basic recipe, like a cookie recipe or a brownie or something like that that calls for 3 cups of flour, can you take your flour in place of that flour?
Yes, you can use my flour cup for cup with any gluten-free recipe. So you already got one. But good, you caught me. A traditional recipe?
Recipe that calls for regular flour. Can you transition your flour for that cup to cup?
Well, you can with some things, not with everything, because the liquid to dry ratio is going to be a little bit different because it's a little bit different science. With cookies you can. With brownies you're going to have to add a little bit more liquid to make it work. Or maybe you could do the exact recipe, but you say that called for 3/4 cup of flour, add a half a cup and see if it's the right consistency, and then add a little bit more until you get the right brownie consistency. Does that make sense? Okay. Did we get a spatula? I try to be as prepared as I can, and I don't think that will work. We need a flipper, a pancake turner. So, let's see. We'll improvise. I always forget something. We'll use a fork.
Rachel, your flours don't include xanthan gum, right?
No.
So what is your sort of guideline, like she's talking about?
For how much? Okay. So for brownies, you would use about 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. For pancakes and waffles, about 1/4 teaspoon. For, let's see, muffins, it's about 1.25 teaspoons.
Are you mentioning that for
No, just for the recipe, yeah. For breads, I use between 1.5 and 1 3/4 teaspoon. If you're using like a bread recipe that is supposed to be dense, like Puglia bread or like a Swedish bread, you can go up to 2 teaspoons. For cakes, it's about 1 teaspoon, and for cookies, it's about 1 teaspoon. Okay, and there was other questions?
Can you use guar gum instead of xanthan
Yes,
gum?
they're interchangeable. Guar gum is bean-based and xanthan gum is corn-based. Any other questions?
Xanthan gum is what base?
Corn-based. All right, this is a good time to do one of our drawings. Did everybody get a little notebook when they came in? Okay, if you could, where's my bag? Like this. You see it anywhere? I had a little bag with numbers in it. Oh, here it is. Okay, open it up, and in the back, there's going to be a number on it. And if you have a notebook that does not have a number on it, raise your hand. On the back? You don't have back? Okay, can you get a different notebook for her? Okay, anybody else need a notebook? All right, so let's see, if you got a number 24, does anybody have number 24? That's you, all right. You are the lucky winner of a gluten-free mama bag. And it has pizza mix, Mama's pizza mix, as well as Mama's pie crust mix, which we're going to use later today. So come on down. All right. All right, we'll flip that over. And don't worry, we have more prizes. So hold on to your... Okay?
I know you use regular meat,
Right.
but would you think there would be any texture difference with some of the fake stuff out there?
For these sandwiches, I would say just make them to taste. If you didn't want meat in it, make it a vegetable sandwich. You know, put all your favorite vegetables, and except for don't do lettuce because when you grill it, it'll get gross. But you could put a layer of like hummus or pesto or something, and then use red peppers and zucchini and all that stuff and batter it. It'd be great. You could even try tofu, see what that's like. I'm not a big tofu fan either. All right, let's see how these are turning out. They just need a couple more minutes. All right, any other questions? A challenge, a gluten-free challenge. All right, this lady right up here gets one, Lexi. Yeah. Okay, has anybody used my cookbook before?
I did last night.
You did last night? All right. What's your favorite recipe? Either one?
I used a couple this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, but I have only done 3, so the cookies were fabulous. Those were so good.
All right, she made the chocolate chip agave cookies. And this is Christy, by the way. She opened up her home to me to do baking. And I tell you what, she has the cleanest kitchen ever. I've never seen a cleaner kitchen. It was nice. I want to invite her to my home to live with me. All right. I think this one is done. So we need some, why don't you take that off, the bread off, and put it in here, and then we'll get some cutting going on, okay? And girls, you guys can help serve, okay? We got some plates here. Does everybody want to try? Okay. So we'll cut them like this. Let me show you. Yeah, you'll just put it on the plate and serve the plate, okay? Look at, like that, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 4, 28. That's perfect. And if you want to garnish it, you can just sprinkle it with a little bit of powdered sugar. All right. If you're having a party, this thing, it does work great. You just line them all up and get done quickly. All right, so the next thing we're going to make is a fruit tart. It's a great dessert that you can make for any type of summer activity, family events, picnics, brunches, parties. Let that keep cooking. So I'm going to let these girls finish this up, and I'm going to move on to the other thing. Gracie, when it's a little bit brown like that on the bottom, then you can take it and cut it into fours. Okay? This is Gracie. She's my oldest daughter. Okay, so we're going to do the fruit tart. And with a tart, you can use any basic tart crust, or you can use a pie crust and just add a little bit of sugar to it to give it the sweetness that a tart should have. Today we're going to use Mama's pie crust to make it simple because all the ingredients are right there. And so we just take a bowl, we just pour in our pie crust. And you want really, really soft butter or partially melted. You can use a dairy-free butter if you prefer. And let's see. So I have a tart recipe on here, and that is just the flour, sugar, salt, and xanthan gum. All the ingredients are in here, but we're also going to add a little bit of shortening because it goes with this recipe. I don't use Crisco shortening because it has soy, and we're soy-free, so we use Spectrum shortening. It's non-hydrogenated, and it's soy-free. So that's what we're going to use, and we just need a 1/3 cup. And let's see here. And just scoop up a 1/3 cup. I actually think this tastes better too.
That's not on here, is that if you use the pie crust?
Yeah, I'm just using the pie crust recipe. And like I said, you can use any tart crust or pie crust recipe. And we're going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar just to give it a sweet flavor. And I also don't use white sugar. You can. I always use the organic sugar because it hasn't been bleached and it has a little bit better flavor to it and a little bit better nutrition too. But if you wanted to use white sugar, you would use it the same way. You can also use, if you need a brown sugar and you don't want to use brown sugar, you can use sucanat because that's going to have a molassesy flavor. Let's see, you could use xylitol, like if you're diabetic and you can't have a lot of sugar, you can use xylitol cup for cup, or it's a member of the xylitol, it's like sorbitol or something like that. So any of those can be cup for cup. And then if you could go get me some, rinse this out and get me some cold water, please. Thank you.
On that sugar. You can use that for anything except hummingbird food.
Oh, really? And why is that?
I guess it's the bleaching process of regular sugar that makes it stay good in the feeder, and it gets moldy and slimy.
Oh, wow.
It's not that bleach in it, but the regular sugar does.
Now we're going to add an egg white, and you can leave this out if you're egg-free, but the egg white will help hold the crust together a little bit better. So with if you left it out, it'd be a little bit more crumbly. And I had a bowl here. Did anybody see what I did with my bowl? Just put it there. And then you add a couple tablespoons of cold water and you mix it together. I use a fork. You can use a pastry cutter. However, when you use the pastry cutter, it's going to get all gummy, so it's easier just to use a fork and just press it in. And so I'm going to show you how to roll out a pie crust. I'm also going to show you how to do the tarts so you can get a little bit of both in this one lesson. And has anybody not made a pie crust since going gluten-free? You haven't, okay. Is it because you don't eat pies or because it kind of scares you?
It's scary.
It scares you. And how about you? It scares you. Okay. Well, this pie crust is easy. You're gonna like it. So we're gonna add 6 to 8 tablespoons of water because this is making a double batch, and we're gonna use the other half for something else a little bit later. We can turn that off now, and we can go ahead and remove it and put it away. Did everybody get a sandwich that wanted a sandwich? Okay. And how were they? Are they okay? We're just going to work it in, work it in. Just back there is fine. Just out of the way. So has anybody made a pie crust and had it not turn out?
Yes.
You have. Okay. And what happened to it exactly?
I don't know, it just seemed really thick.
Thick, okay. And how did they have you prepare it?
I don't know, that was a while ago.
Oh, it was a while ago? Okay.
Yeah.
How did yours turn out?
Sometimes they're okay, but I just have the worst times it's so sticky.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to, roll it out,
Right.
getting it transferred, usually comes with
Okay, so I'm going to give you some tricks on dealing with that, okay? So if I can get this mixed up here. Just takes a few minutes. Were you going to have did you have a question about, you were getting ready?
The pie
Oh,
crust turned out like completely crumbled. It crumbled apart. And the pie looked beautiful, but as soon as you cut into it, it just kind of
oh, okay,
crumbled.
okay. All right. Wonder what the, what level are we at as far as like sea level is concerned? Are we 3,000 feet or 1,000, 2,000? This seems like it needs a little bit more moisture today than it usually does. And I wonder if it has something to do with that. We're at 3,000 feet in Montana, well, where I'm at. Okay, so now it's kind of crumbly. And this is where the messy cook comes involved. Does anybody have a problem with touching their food? We're not going to eat this one. So just get your hands in there and like Play-Doh and just mush it together until it forms a nice ball. I was at a class in Boise, and there was one gal, she can't touch her food at all. And so we had her come up and make it. I'm like, it's okay, just breathe. Like that Nemo song, keep on breathing, or keep on swimming, but keep on breathing. Yeah. All right, just add a little bit more. For some reason, it's a little drier today, but don't be afraid to add more water if you need to. All right, there we go. Now we're getting the way we want it. Okay, so you want to have a nice ball of dough, and what we're going to do is take a little bit more than half and then set the rest aside. Move this stuff around. Okay, so we're going to do the wax paper method. Has anybody done that? Okay, so it's super easy. You just cut off 2 pieces of wax paper. And lightly spray them both, cooking spray. We're going to put our dough smack in the middle. And then we're going to roll it out. You want to roll it out to about 1/4 inch thickness. Traditional pie crust, they roll out about 1/8 of an inch, but we're going to do 1/4 of an inch because it's not going to rise the same way, and we want to have that nice crust. So we're going to put this in the tart pan just like we would put it into a pie crust pan. And then what I have for my tart crust pan, it has a removable. Not all of them come like that, but it's really nice. So when it's done, you just pop it right out and you put it on your serving tray and you have a base and everything and it looks beautiful. And this is also the non-stick. If you didn't want to do it this way, you could take little pieces and you could press it in. And it's just fine. In fact, the one that I made today to show you guys, I pressed in. Just depends on how much time you have and what kind of mood you're in. Okay, so when you get it about 1/4 of an inch, just peel off the top layer. You don't have to, but I'm going to spray because I always like to have the little extra security. And you just take your pie crust and you flip it over. Now, this pie crust is very forgiving, so if it cracks, you can repair it easily. It's like Play-Doh. That's the nice thing about not having the regular wheat flour is you can play with it. If you mess it up, you can put it back into a ball and you can play with it again. Where the regular pie crust, you pretty much get one chance and then it starts shrinking on you and shrinking on you and you have to put it in the fridge and all that. So we're just going to press it in. And I just want, because it's a tart, I just want a regular edge right across the top. If I were to want to have a pie crust, I would take 1/2 inch pieces like this. I would fold it over and do a fun little design across my pie pan. Okay, and then we're gonna just take, just trim the edges. There, then you have your tart. You put it in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes till it's lightly brown, and then we prepare the crust. If you do the same thing for a pie crust, but you don't have to pre-bake it for a pie crust unless it's for like a strawberry pie or something that you're not cooking. You could also make mini tarts by using a mini muffin pan, and you can form 1-inch balls and just roll it. You put it in your pan and then just press it until it forms about 1/4 inch sides. And smooth out the top so it's not cracked, and you would get little this size. You could put any kind of fruit in it, mix it for the summer, and you have easy fruit tarts. At this point, you could do pecan pie tarts. If anybody got the recipe that was up front, you could go ahead and put your pecan pie mixture in it. You could do any kind of baked pie, whatever you'd want to do. Okay, so when we got it done, we have our nice little crust, and it's formed. It's not crumbly or anything. And then we would put our cream cheese mixture on it. This is cream cheese, powdered sugar, and a little bit of milk, and we would just spread it on. We'll use a spoon here. If you are dairy-free and you can't have this, you could make pudding using coconut milk and have that be your base. I'm gonna just use these, and then when we move on to the crisp and stuff, I'll take some of the frozen blueberries out and we'll put it on top, and then you can take it home. Now, if you wanted to have a shine, you just take Simply Fruit apricot jam, because this is like sugar-free, and so you could use that, or you could use any apricot jam. Microwave it for about 30 seconds till it's melted, and you'd brush it on top of the fruit or mix it into the fruit before putting it on. But for the sake of time, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna make a nice little design. So I don't have a microwave here because I don't have a fully equipped kitchen. And we're just gonna go around And I took this to a party not too long ago, and it was gone within seconds. So this is a perfect dish to take to something like that. Make a star, and then use kiwi. Do something fun. If we had blueberries, we could put blueberries in the center. We'll put some mixed berries in the center here when we move to the next project. But baste it with your apricot jam and you've got a tart. So anybody want to taste it? We have some that we can pass around. We'll just start here. How's that? And this, the crust that we used here is this is the pie crust actual that we used. And then this one is the tart crust recipe that's in the handout. We have any questions about pies? Any? None? All right, so now I have to see if you guys like it. All right, I need some helpers. We need to clear off everything because we're going to have a little activity here. Here. I'm going to save this. And we'll just move this. I'm just going to move everything off and we're going to move on to the next project. Does anybody need napkins? Napkins? We'll pass those around for anybody who needs those. Okay. Where's my numbers at? They're here. Okay. We'll check the numbers. Somebody, whoever gets picked first can choose if they want to take the tart home or if they want to take the hot dog buns home and cook them up. An egg white. Yeah, sorry. 31? That's you. You want the tart or the hamburger hot dog buns? You take the tart. Okay, and we'll put some berries on it before you leave.
Right now, but I'll wait.
Okay. So, all right, and we'll see if anybody wants to take the hamburger buns down. Number 9. Does anybody have number 9? Would you like to take the hot dog buns home and bake them up? Just put them in a 400-degree oven for about 30 minutes. Okay. Okay? Yeah. All right, I need 4 volunteers. Does anybody want to come up and do some hands-on stuff? You want to? Okay, come on up. This is your chance to do hands-on cooking with Gluten-Free Mama. You get to go home, tell all your friends. Anybody? Okay, how about you and you and you? Okay, we'll have 2. Yeah, go ahead. Right in the back, there's a sink in the bathroom. No, I need that. No, I don't need that. Yep. That's the Monte Cristo. Okay. Okay, so we'll move things aside as much as we can. Okay. So the girls, they're washing their hands. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and hand this to you because we need space here for this project. Someone can use that. And then the wax paper. That. We'll just have to lightly spray those with cooking spray. Okay, we'll let the people do it, okay? All right. All right. All right, so I need bowls. Really quick, go rinse these out really, 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 really fast. Huh? All right, girls, you guys get to make the crisps, okay? And then the adult helpers will get to make the cobblers. So you guys each get one of these. And so this is a half a stick of butter. And this is a crisp mixture. So you guys come over here. I'm gonna get the girls started, and then I'll tell them what they're doing, and then we'll move on to what you guys are doing. Okay, so in the crisp, if you look on the last page, you have an option for a crisp or a tart. Not a tart. Cobbler. Super easy to make and perfect for summertime. So with the crisp, the topping you're gonna have, where is it? You'll have a little bit of almond or coconut blend flour, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of brown sugar, gluten-free oats, salt, cinnamon to taste, and chopped pecans. Chopped pecans are optional. I like to have them because when they're mixed with the butter, they kind of, but we left them out for today. And so we're just gonna I put them all in the bag. You're gonna open this up, and then you guys can close it up and take turn without trying to get all the air out, close it up, and just smush all the butter in, just like you would with Play-Doh. Can you guys do that and take turns? Okay, so you guys get going on that. This just needs to be sprayed on both sides, the cooking spray, and lightly spray yours, and you guys roll your dough out like you would a pie crust. Okay?
All right.
And then I'm gonna squeeze in here. I don't, so we'll have to take turns. But what you could do in the meantime is decide what berries you want in your cobbler. So you can have mixed berries with peaches, or you can have just mixed berries, or you can have just peaches. So you get to take this home, so make it the way you would want it. Okay? So, and
how do we publish? Does this go in the bottom?
Yeah.
no, it's going to go in your pan. You just put it directly into your pan.
Line the whole thing?
No, the pie crust you wait till last. Right now you're just fixing the berries while she's rolling out the pie crust.
But I missed it.
This is a cobbler, so your pie crust, the crust is going to go on the top. So why I'm just having her get started on the berries while you're doing that. Okay. And we need an egg white. Well, we don't really need. Yeah, we'll do an egg white. We won't. We'll do. What am I doing? We'll do water. Where's the water? Okay.
Yeah. Have to fill it up, right?
Yep, just like that. Okay, so did you guys each have a turn mushing it? Okay. Now you guys can decide what kind of berries you want to have in your crisp, okay? So there's peaches and there's berries.
Slimy.
Yep. Okay, so go ahead and choose your berries. You might want to make it a little less full because we got to mix some stuff in. The girls can take a hand. Why don't you guys let's pour a little bit of. We have to be able to mix it just a tad. So one of you want peaches in yours? I do. Oh, you do? Okay. All right. And then here's peaches and berries, and you can fill it maybe up to about there. Okay. All right. So we want to add a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of sugar to your. This is where you can add to taste. Okay.
I don't do sugar, so.
You don't do sugar, so you're going to leave that out. Do you want honey or agave? Okay. Do you want sugar?
Maybe just a little.
Okay. Here's a measuring cup. You can, and then vanilla. And if you want cinnamon in it, you can put cinnamon in it. And
Any particular amount?
about a teaspoon.
Should I use these or guess?
You can use these or estimate whatever. Where's my flour? Girls, where's my flour?
Flour.
Yep, it was up here. You know where it went? My almond flour? Where did it go? Is it down there? Oh, that one's the open one. Oh, here we go. Okay, and for you guys are small, so just use maybe a teaspoon or a couple teaspoons of flour and mix it in. And that's going to help kind of thicken up the berries. And you guys can do that. If you want sugar, you can add some sugar. You probably need a little bit more berries than that. Huh? Does Mom say it's okay for sugar, or does Mom want agave or honey? Mom doesn't care. What about this Mom? Okay.
So how do I do this?
Just pour like a teaspoon in, just a little bit of a drip. Yeah. And then I do have spoons. Where do our spoons go? Here, you guys can use that.
The big span.
Yeah. I'm all about organization, you know? Okay. And then if you add sugar if you want sugar. And here's a little measuring cup. Maybe like half of that. All right. Now what you girls are going to do, are you're going to take your crisp topping and put your hands in there and make sure it's nice and mushed, okay? Don't worry about, you're going to get your hands dirty. And it's okay, because why? Every good cook is a messy cook, okay? So open it up, get your hands dirty, and squish it in there, and then put it on top, okay? All right, and what you guys are going to do is you're going to baste this with a little bit of water, so you can just take the measuring spoon and kind of press the water around, okay? And then you're going to sprinkle it, well, you're not going to sprinkle it with sugar, so you don't need to baste it. If you baste it with water for the sake of showing everybody what to do, and then sprinkle it with a little bit of sugar. And what you're going to do is you're just going to tear little pieces off, and you're going to kind of make like a patchwork quilt going around.
Does it have to stick to the sides?
It's however you want it. Some people will just do the center so the berries are coming out. Some people will do it all over and just let it seep through. So whatever your heart's desire. There's no way you can do a crisp wrong, and there's no way you can do a cobbler wrong. Unless you don't use a gluten-free mama recipe. Just kidding. What's that?
Some water.
Yes, I do, right here. And I don't have my baster, so we're just going to have to sprinkle it on, or with, you know, with a measuring spoon. Where did they go?
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
And then just, you want me to put some sugar on it?
Yeah, and just sprinkle some sugar on it.
Could you brush it with milk?
You could brush it with milk, yeah. You got it? Okay, now just start crumbling it on. You know, like little pieces, like Play-Doh. Like you're back in first grade playing with Play-Doh. It's going to be awesome. Yep. Oh, that's flour. They're both green. Oh, yeah. Huh? All of it? Just till you get like a ½ inch thick. You don't want to see the berries. You want to, yep, just keep putting it on. Okay.
Do you have something that I can scoop? Or do you use?
I do. There we go. We make do with no kitchen stuff, so it's worked, right? You guys okay with this? All right. So while they're doing that, you now know how to make a cobbler, and you know how to make a crisp. And when you're done with the crisp, this is what it looks like. And who wants to have some? I don't think this gentleman wants to have any, or this one. So we'll get a spoon and plates, and we'll pass it around. We're going to need another spoon. Yeah.
A big one or a?
Just enough to put a little bit on each plate.
Should we do some plastic?
Sure. And then we got forks. You see that? All right. So that's perfect. And see, they have their crust. They're crisp on there. You put it in a 350-degree oven until it gets lightly golden brown. Same thing with this. And wait about 10 minutes so you don't scald your mouth when you eat it, and you have perfect dessert. So that's my class today. If anybody has any questions, please ask them. Do you have any questions, girls? Was it fun? Oh, good.
What was in the mix that they used?
There was flour and brown sugar and white sugar, or the organic sugar, and cinnamon, oats, gluten-free oats. So, and you could put, whatever. If you didn't want to have the oats, or you could use a whole mixture of different nuts or whatever you want to do. Yeah, you can. And then you guys can take those home with you if you like. Cool. Okay? And, all right, you're done. And you can take those home, throw it in an oven, 350 degrees for about a half hour.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Great.
Thanks for helping, girls.
Very glad I came to this class.